Jack West. I'm a sculptor working in London, and I work with digital video, but also more traditional sculptural methods. So I use a lot of natural materials in my work, things like slate and oak, and I like to use these materials which are sort of quite kind of earthbound, quite basic materials in relation to this sort of quite almost high-tech virtual world. And coming to do the Made EU residency has let me explore those kind of materials in the direct environment of Plymouth. Plymouth is based on a lot of slate outcrops, and I found a particular place that had a lot of natural slate there. So it was a really nice chance to come and look at these materials that I've been using within my studio practice, actually in the environment and the larger landscape, and finding a rock that I could take back to the Fab Lab. And once it was there, I could then 3D scan it. So that's just a very simple piece of technology that's now quite widely available, where you move the scanner all around the object and get an impression of every angle of it that can then be turned into a digital model that then exists within the computer. Once it's in the computer, then you have a whole load of options that you can work with it. So I might turn it into a 3D video using animation and make that part of one of those Cinema 4D works that I create. Or in my case, I took an element of that 3D scan and then used a 3D milling machine that allowed me to reconstruct that object, so that slate object, but in a different material. So a 3D milling machine is essentially a drill bit, but that can move on all axes, so it can go from left and right or up and down, and it uses that movement to carve out the shape of a digital object like my rock, but translate that from the digital model within the computer into a physical model like the oak, and so it just traces the outline and creates a new shape. The translation between that real object and this virtual object leads to sort of some unexpected outcomes. There can be things that you don't expect when you translate it from one into another, and it's those areas where there's unexpected outcomes that sort of become the exciting part of my practice and the moments that I look for when I'm making work. When you create a model and you put it in the digital environment, it has a very smooth sort of computer-generated appearance. When I translated that into the oak job object using this 3D milling machine, it was the way in which the oak worked with the routing bit, with the drill bit. It didn't have this smooth appearance. It was quite rough, and there were sort of threads and sort of things that came up that actually made the oak look more like a landscape. So ultimately, I didn't expect it to look like that, but the eventual outcome meant that it actually had a much more of a life and more of a character that I wouldn't have thought it had previously. So using this 3D video, particularly something like Cinema 4D, is really opening the boundaries of what sculpture can be. It's allowing artists and practitioners and people in a wider sense to explore ideas and objects in a way that they couldn't have done previously, and it speeds up a workflow, and it basically allows people to have much more scope of experimentation than they could previously. I just see that expanding more and more as it becomes easy for people to understand the technology and to use it and to access it. It's been fantastic having the expertise of everyone at the college. It's meant that they can really help me translate these ideas with machinery that is new to me, and it's meant that they've sort of been a guiding hand all the way through and resulted in sort of objects and processes that I've been really excited by.